All right, my friends, welcome to episode 426 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry. I am a professor and I play video games. And over there is Anthony. He is a developer. He makes video games and he plays them as well.
Yes,
He's
I do.
played many video games, many more than I have. So he is our resident expert on video games, which is perfect because tonight we are doing something silly. I went and looked up IGN's Games of the Year from 2007 through 2022, and I randomly placed them in a bracket because I've been watching NCAA women's basketball, so I've got brackets on the mind. So we are going, there's two sides to the bracket, both have 8. I will read through the brackets, and we will discuss each bracket, and we will see by the end which one we think is the ultimate game of the year. Why? Because we have a podcast and we can talk about games and it sounds fun. Before we start, Anthony, anything you want to say? Anything going on? How are you doing? All that stuff?
Doing fine. Nothing big going on. It was, though I do make games, I really having a case where I'm like, I really just don't want to do work tomorrow, but I got it. So,
but someone's paying you to do a thing.
Yeah. But man, chill, sleep in. You know,
that sounds good.
Nothing really pressing, but making games. It's all sorts of fun. I love it, but still a job, and sometimes you just don't want to do it.
Yeah, nope, I get it. I love my job, and some days I'm like, do I have to?
Yeah.
We are lucky to do things that we love 99% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, I love it, but that's what when people are like, oh, what? Just because you love a job it's still a job.
Yes, exactly. You would still rather be home reading a book sometimes or playing a game yourself.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Nope, I'm just going to be talking. So, yay, fun.
Well, speaking of talking, that's what we're doing tonight. Let me give you the brackets. We've got the West bracket and the East bracket. In the West, we have Super Mario Galaxy, Game of the Year for 2007, versus a little game called Elden Ring, Game of the Year for 2022. Yikes, both good games. Next, Portal 2 came out in 2011 versus God of War 2018, the first of the reboot, I guess, from Sony, Santa Monica. Next, from 2009, we have Uncharted 2 versus a game that you and I have played a little bit called Hades from 2020. Below that, to finish out the West bracket, we've got The Last of Us, the first one, coming out in 2013 versus Overwatch, which came out in 2016.
Okay.
That takes care of the West bracket. Over on the East side, we're going to have Dragon Age Inquisition of 2014 versus Witcher 3 of 2015. Next, we've got Forza Horizon 5 of 2021 versus Fallout 3 of 2008. Then we've got Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2017 versus Journey 2012. And to round out the East bracket, we've got Mass Effect 2 of 2010 versus Control of 2019. Again, these are IGN Game of the Year. I almost did Eurogamers. I had a little bit more variety of things that you wouldn't typically expect, I suppose. But I thought this was a fun one.
There's some challenging ones in here.
There are. Do you want to start on the West or the East?
Let's start on the West. Let's do this hard one.
Okay. Super Mario Galaxy from 2007 versus Elden Ring of 2022. Initial thoughts?
Oh, man. I'm leaning Galaxy. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, that's interesting. Why?
It is a pretty foundational 3D Mario experience. I would say up there with Mario 64.
And do you think that it iterated on that 3D Mario formula, like took it in a new direction, or what stands out versus 64?
Yeah, for me, definitely in the mechanics of it and I don't know, I have real fond memories of the first Galaxy. A little bit less the second Galaxy. I got frustrated with Galaxy 2. But I didn't get frustrated with Super Mario Galaxy, and it took, I don't know, it's just Nintendo's playfulness there, and then, let's see, what did we get? We had Mario 64, then we had Sunshine, and then it was Galaxy?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it
no,
went
this was really
64 GameCube Wii. Yeah.
yeah, and they only did one each, right?
Yep.
Or yeah. Um, no, it's fundamentally like when I look back, I'm like, this is probably one of my favorite Mario games. I'll be honest, ever. I played the crap out of this one.
It's
The
a
microplanets.
yeah.
Um, it was off the wall, but it also introduced Rosalina, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that introduced. So I was like, yeah, I'm kind of here for this.
I think too. I could be wrong. I thought it also introduced Captain Toad. I
Could
thought
have,
he was in the
honestly.
early observatories. Around the observatories, there was, I believe, Captain Toad was there as well.
I mean, I think this fundamentally set the tone for 3D Mario's for quite a while.
I think it. I came to it late, but I really enjoyed it because it felt like the next step after 64. Because at the time I had not played
Sunshine
Sunshine.
is not the next.
I went and played Sunshine. I was like, I fucking hate this game, and I've never hated a Mario game ever in my life. But I just love the little puzzle boxes of those planets and the gravity and going around the whole fucking sphere and shooting to the next one. Um, I think this
Yeah,
one also had the B ability, which was interesting. I'm a sucker for Mario games. However, Elden Ring is the first FromSoft game that I ever got into. I tried a couple of
sure.
them, but this one, I think I just like it in terms of it being like the dark version of Breath of the Wild. Basically, like, see that, go there, explore, find weird shit, things happen. But it's so, for me, the when I saw this part of the bracket, what just stood out to me was like light versus dark, happy versus, oh boy, depressing almost, oppressive maybe is the right word.
Yeah.
Um, and I gravitate towards Mario, even though I loved Elden Ring.
I really enjoyed Elden Ring, even though I'll never play it again. But
Yeah,
it
exactly.
was incredible.
It was a
Um,
wonderful experience to have, but I go back to
I
Galaxy. You know,
still think, but I just lean to Galaxy from a foundational standpoint of what it has set in motion. For honestly, platform, a lot of platformers have looked to Galaxy as like its foundation. I'm sure things later will look to Elden. Although, as you said, it's a dark version of like Breath of the Wild or something like that. So I think there's more open world games are going to look to the Zeldas from the Switch, and Elden Ring kind of as a together in a lot of ways. Weirdly, how Japan does open world, I guess, which is seems to be a little fundamentally different than Western developers do open world. So I feel like there's a pretty big conversation between the Zelda team and FromSoft in those games right now.
it is the only thing that I see. Like I feel like Dark Souls was in conversation with Zelda games, like a Dark Dungeon kind of game. I feel like the FromSoft team is just looking at what Zelda does and iterating on it themselves in like a dark way,
Yeah.
which is superb. I mean, it's beautiful, but I feel like Elden Ring is iterating on Zelda, whereas Mario Galaxy is iterating on Mario, and that just makes it stand out to me a little more.
Yeah, and they went pretty wild with Galaxy.
Yeah, dude.
And it
Yes.
worked.
Yep.
So there we
even
go.
and it's impressive too because it was on the Wii where if I originally I played Mario Galaxy the Wii version on Wii U before the Switch version came out, and you're waggling with your Wiimote to pick up the stars and shit like that, and it was still with
It
that
worked.
integration of it worked with that integration of motion controls. It still wasn't annoying, so
Yeah.
that worked out well. All right, the next part of this upper, I guess we'll call it the Northwest. Portal 2, 2011 versus God of War, 2018.
Where are you going?
This one's interesting because God of War, I think we both started it and fell off it, but I came back to it. Portal 2, I have only played the co-op campaign.
Oh.
I played that with Brad. I never actually have played the campaign itself. I played the co-op campaign, which is different, I believe, than the
It is. It's completely
single player
separate.
campaign.
Yeah.
And it was awesome, fucking awesome. Great puzzles, just genius through and through, just like Portal 1. God of War had a very interesting story and a great way of transforming what God of War had been, but again, sort of like Mario Galaxy and Elden Ring, while I think God of War is like technically expansive, narratively rich, Portal 2, even though it's building on Portal 1, I still think did fundamentally brilliant things in like that 3D sort of puzzle space.
Oh,
So
I agree.
I'm leaning towards Portal 2 quite heavily on this one.
I am Portal 2 all the way. That was an incredible experience playing that. Single player all the way through. It threw crazy twists and turns and mechanics. The writing was incredible. I didn't know how they were going to follow up Portal. They followed it up far better than I could have ever expected them. And there's probably a reason why there's never been a Portal 3, because I don't think there ever needed to be.
Can't top it, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it'd be real hard to top Portal 2. I think it was like twice the length of Portal 1, but it's that extra length worked really well. The new mechanics they added were great. Like I said, the writing was really, really sharp, really funny, and great callbacks to, like, just when you have good writing, whenever you're like through a good story, and all of the callbacks as you go through the game are perfect for stuff you've done earlier. And it worked that way mechanically as well. As things got more complicated, you're like, oh, they're referencing this thing I did earlier in the game, and I've kind of just learned the language of this game and how to play it. Yeah, I can't. God of War is a good to great game. Portal 2 is going to be an all-time classic.
Yeah, the thing that's interesting about it is God of War feels like a really good one of those, whereas Portal 2 is a really good one of, it's the only one besides Portal, you know?
Yeah. There's very few games that have tried following in the footsteps of Portal.
Yeah, have you done the co-op campaign with someone?
Nope.
Interesting. We both played a different side of that game. It's brilliant, as you can imagine. The way that they've interfaced with two players was great. Okay, so the northwest part of the bracket is set. It's Galaxy versus Portal 2. We'll come back to that. Now we're going down to the southwest, and that is Uncharted 2 from 2009 versus Hades 2020. And God, they're such different games.
And they're very good.
They're both very good. Uncharted 2 is the best of the four, and in my view, I'm leaving out Lost Legacy.
It's better than Lost Legacy as well. Uncharted 2 is amazing. Lost Legacy is fine. I don't love Lost Legacy. It was fine.
I really, really, really like Lost Legacy, but Uncharted 2, I remember playing it because I played through the trilogy for the first time during this podcast, and I played most of 1. I was like, nope, I don't like this very much. And then 2, I couldn't stop. It was the story. It was like a summer blockbuster, right?
Yeah, that's what it is for me. Why I put it up as the best of all of them. It is the closest one, I think, to the ideal of what Uncharted was trying to be. You getting to play a blockbuster. Its set pieces are still better than almost every action game out there in some ways.
They really are, yeah.
Train sequence. Yeah, there's just, from the opening even, climbing up the train car, falling, it just...
Yep.
Naughty Dog decided to go pretty hard on that game. And hit what they were trying to do in the first one and just kind of never got there. But this one, they landed it pretty well.
It was like
we're putting this against...
Yeah, but it was like the sweet spot of like ambition and tech, whereas 1, maybe the tech wasn't fully there.
I don't think they were. They were trying to figure out the cell processor quite a bit on the first one.
And 4 was too long. Lost Legacy had the open world section in the middle that was a little bit... and then 3, I struggle to remember.
Yeah, 3 was not... 3 was... always felt like to me it had pacing issues more than anything. Not as memorable, and then like just weird. It had good set pieces, but getting between the set pieces was pretty rough at times. I didn't love the open world stuff as much.
Yeah,
it was fine, but I don't think Uncharted games are meant to be that. Like they are you're on rails, do some small puzzle solving. Yep. But you're playing a blockbuster movie.
And 2 did it the best, for sure.
But then we have Hades on the other side. which is one of my all-time. I mean, both of these games are all-time favorites.
But one's an all-time favoriter.
Yeah.
Hades did so much. That was after, God, I don't fucking know how many runs I did, 67, whatever. And there was still new shit, new dialogue, new stuff to unlock, new ways to play by choosing a different weapon. And then you beat Hades, and it was like, oh, there's more. Keep going. I mean, the art style, the music, the story, the way that they kind of played with a roguelite.
Yeah, they it's the game that showed that you could have incredibly strong narrative in a roguelite. Because while some roguelites before have had some story and some lore kind of tying them together, they didn't try to tell a story where the roguelite part of it, the dying part of it, was important to the story.
Yeah, and advance the story was a piece of the story. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible. I'm leaning Hades, I'll be honest. Not by a lot, but
this is what makes these kind of things so fun, because they are such different games. In my head, they're like so equal. But I've come back to Hades over and over since 2020, and I have not come back to Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
Partially because I had other Uncharted to go to. But I'm Hades. You know, I guess the last thing I would probably say is Hades 2 early access is this year. If Uncharted 5 was this year, which one would I be more excited about? It would be Hades 2 by a mile.
Yeah, correct. That is a correct choice.
So I'm going to circle this Hades here.
All right.
And the last one from the Southwest is The Last of Us 2. Joel.
No, it's not The Last of Us 2.
Oh, sorry. God damn it. Last of Us.
The first one.
I was going to say Last of Us from 2013, where Joel goes on a murder spree at the end, versus Overwatch 2016. I think this is a pretty easy one as well. I'm curious which way you're going, though.
No, Last of Us. I'm not. Why would I've rarely ever played Overwatch.
I'm not sure that...
I've played like less than 6 games total of Overwatch ever.
I've played a shit ton of Overwatch, but even if I hadn't, I'm thinking more from a perspective of which one had more impact after it came out. And I would probably suggest it's Overwatch.
Overwatch probably did, because everything's a hero shooter now.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's another timeline where Overwatch went and its succession went well, but we don't live in that timeline.
Oh, you know what? That sucks, because if you morph Overwatch into Overwatch 2, it is the same game. They just rewrote Overwatch with Overwatch 2. Oh man, that does impact.
Yeah, I just don't
Overwatch
think
was.
I think Last of Us is the winner here, and I think Overwatch is just... I think it had the opportunity to be a very long-lasting game, and it got squandered pretty hard.
It went for a long... I mean, when did it turn into Overwatch 2? Last year? Maybe?
Year or two... Oh, time has
2 years
no
ago?
meaning.
Yeah, but I mean, it went for a long time.
It went for a long time.
And it was influential, but... What about Last of Us makes it not against Overwatch, but...
I mean, I just think Last of Us is probably one of the best stories ever told in the game. In the long run, the first one.
Yeah.
Getting to that end and really, really playing with that. In a lot of ways, using the mechanics of we've been doing for that entire time, and then flipping on its head at the end.
The thing is,
and having to do awful things and making the player feel that and feel it deep.
The thing that's, I totally agree with you. The thing that's interesting about that ending, both in the game and in the HBO show, is if it had gone the other way, where Joel was like, "Yep, okay, you're going to die. They're going to use you as a vaccine, blah blah blah." I think it still would have been super impactful. Like either way they went, that story was a fucking banger. So I agree with that. I'm not sure that I love the gameplay of the original anywhere close to like what 2 is. I think 2 feels better, but obviously the gameplay of Overwatch is much stronger. This is a hard one for me. I could go either way. So if you feel more strongly, I would go with yours.
I feel strongly not Overwatch.
All right, then it is.
I don't.
The Last of Us. And then it just continues on to, if you think about the legacy of the sequels, The Last of Us 2 was certainly divisive, but like still conversant. People are conversant in that game. Versus Overwatch 2, it's like, it just fucking sucks. You've just ruined the game. So
they did.
That's interesting to think of. It's interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
There is another timeline where it's not that way.
But it is interesting to think about sequels that like were so bad they ruined the first game. I'm not sure how many of those we have.
It was no,
because it does replace it too. It erased the first game, literally erased it.
Yeah, it's 2022.
Yeah,
it's a sequel and replacement. You can't even play the first Overwatch anymore.
Exactly,
doesn't exist.
What a travesty.
Which is another reason why I would never give it for it. There's no way to play it. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well that takes care of the West bracket. To read out what's left in the West bracket, we're going to have Galaxy versus Portal 2 when we come back, and we're going to have Hades versus Last of Us. So that's fun.
Okay.
We're going to move over to the East, go into the Northeast. We are starting with Dragon Age Inquisition, which I really appreciate for the Plants vs. Zombies joke embedded in the game. And then Witcher 3. I mean,
Witcher 3 is just everything that DA Inquisition was, but better.
It's really true.
That's just what it is. Like
even there's so many different parallel tracks you could take that statement, and you're totally right. Even just take the Hinterlands versus White Orchid or White Orchard. I mean, even though I know you think White Orchard was too long, the Hinterlands was far too long. Yeah. Oh man.
I left the Hinterlands though. Quickly.
You were smart
because I didn't want to sit there. I can't leave White Orchard as quickly as I want.
Yeah, right. You had the choice to leave the Hinterlands. I stayed, so I was like, "Oh, I'm supposed to stay here and do all this shit." No, you're supposed to leave.
I think Witcher 3 is just, I think DA Inquisition is a fine game. I enjoyed it. Played through the entire thing. Witcher 3 is just better, straight up. Even the same relative type of game, open world RPG,
fantasy-ish,
fantasy.
I am also bummed that for 2014, Shadow of Mordor, I think, should have been Game of the Year. But that's, that's not my outlet, so whatever. Okay, Witcher 3 is moving on. Also, it's sort of hard to pull apart Witcher 3, although I can do it in my head from the sequel, or the expansions.
Sure.
They all go together.
I can do it.
Yeah. We might have the Battle of the Threes in the Northeast, because I think the next piece is, we'll see. Forza Horizon 5 versus Fallout 3. I think the type of gamers that we are, this is kind of...
Yeah, no, it's Fallout 3.
It's an easy discussion. Sorry.
Yeah, it must have been a pretty quiet year, 2021. Honestly, it probably was. We're in a pretty deep pandemic at that time.
Exactly.
So.
I think it was. The thing that stands out for me from Fallout 3 is that I had come back from Peace Corps, and I built a gaming PC in 2008. Why does that not make sense in my head? Because you visited me in 2009 and I built a gaming PC.
Yeah.
But
sometime in there.
That's weird. Anyway, Fallout 3 was one of the first games on the PC that I bought, and I played quite a bit of it. I didn't finish it, but I really enjoyed it. As coming back to video games after so long away in the Peace Corps and grad school and whatever else, I was like, whoa, this is what games can be? Holy shit.
And Fallout 3 was pretty... Overall, was pretty great for... moving that franchise forward from what it had been.
Mm-hmm. You mean even from the isometric kind of?
Yeah, because that was the only thing that came before it was the isometric. So this was their attempt to Bethesda's attempt to have, since they bought the IP, their chance to figure out if they could do it in their first person style and their leanings. And I feel like this one worked particularly well. New Vegas is better, but largely because Obsidian was more willing to go there with the story and try things, be pretty bigger with their storytelling, and Fallout 3 is more focused on the story is fine, but they're much more focused on the world and making you feel living in that world.
Exactly,
and it worked, and it has worked considering this week, the 11th, I think, we're getting the Fallout TV show.
Holy shit! It's already this week?
It's this week.
Damn. Okay.
Drops this week.
Are they dropping the whole thing or one at a time?
The whole thing.
I wish they're doing one at a time. I like weekly viewing.
I don't know if Amazon does weekly.
I think you're right. They don't. As far as I know. But that looks good. I'm not a huge fan of Fallout in general, but that show looks fucking great.
It looks hilarious. Trailers are one thing. Who knows if they'll actually be able to manage the pacing and for that many episodes and hours. But I'm like, at least whoever's making it understands the sensibilities of its humor from the trailer, at least. And my God, the set design is insane for all the little Fallout Easter eggs and trinkets that are all over every shot of that trailer. So I'm like, someone at least cared to put that stuff in. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll report back next week. I'm sure I'll watch all of it.
I think what you're saying there is kind of, it's a bit of a tangent, but the more video game adaptations we're seeing that are good, it just comes down to other people who actually fucking care about the game making this thing. That's what makes it good. Mario was the same way. Last of Us was the same way. So. Yeah. All right. Well, Fallout 3 versus Witcher 3, the battle of the threes. When we get back to the Northeast, down to the Southeast, we've got Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild from 2017 versus Journey from 2012.
Pretty different.
Very different in scope, style. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the cell shade is a little bit similar. Man, Journey was like an emotionally impactful when you find out that you're playing with real people. Tells you their names at the end.
You didn't know.
I didn't know. No, I didn't know. Yeah.
I knew what I was getting into when I was playing it.
I had no idea. I was just like, people had talked about, I think it was because the IGN Game of the Year discussion, like I had heard about it for a while. I was like, I'll check it out. And by the time I got to the end, I was like, what, those are real people? Jesus, that was, something special. No story, just world building, really. Mm-hmm. But I don't think anything holds up. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is my favorite game ever made. So,
yeah, I would still lean towards Breath of the Wild on this. I think Journey is an incredibly important for social play, and I know is referenced to this day when people talk about like altruistic and non-voice communication. Mm-hmm. It is like foundational to pretty much most of the modern designs that deal with that stuff. So it is incredibly important, but it's definitely one I'm like, I'm never going back to it. It's great that one time you do it. Although there are people that play Journey that their whole thing is they just want to help other people, and that's great.
I've gone back to it once. I played it twice.
But
it's short enough to do that,
Yeah. But I think Breath of the Wild, where I've gone to Breath of the Wild multiple times, and just get lost in that world. Breath of the Wild just revolutionized open world games, revolutionized Zelda games as a whole, and just was like, look at the game is exploring, find things, and while you're finding things, you're having a blast doing it. Love the mechanics, the gliding. I see that. I want to go there. It's like when we talk about Fallout with Bethesda stuff, they did their Skyrims or anything like that. Those are big, giant open worlds, but they don't feel as alive and as fun to explore as Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's kind of the conversation with Elden Ring, right? It's like, there's a lot there, but it's oppressive.
Yeah.
But Breath of the Wild... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
My daughter started a fresh save today. We were watching Zelda's Ballad, which is the Zelda mod, and she just wanted to play again. So she's just exploring and finding new ways to do things and, really taking ownership over it. But she was playing on my file yesterday and just exploring I think it's Elden Volcano, and just having a blast finding random shit everywhere and how the physics interacts with each other. And it's just like the joy of discovery, watching her do what I did. This is the last game I beat before she was born. And watching her continue that character that I played is just like, wow, the continuity of this game. And just like, it makes me want to replay this game. And I was thinking about how I love Tears of the Kingdom, but my favorite is Breath of the Wild, just because that experience of doing it the first time, like, I don't think will ever be matched. Even though I think Tears of the Kingdom is technically the better game. So interesting. So we're going Breath of the Wild here, I assume.
Yeah.
Sorry, Journey, but you are awesome. All these games are awesome. And Overwatch was awesome. All right, last one. In the southeast, we've got Mass Effect 2 versus Control. Mass Effect 2 from 2010, Control from 2019. I never played Control, so this is a hard one for me to talk about.
I played a fair amount of Control. Control's great. Mass Effect 2 is in my top 5 games I've ever played.
Yeah, me too.
So it just hands down win. Like, Control's a good game, and I think it does. It's kind of Remedy really showing their chops on that one, leading directly to Alan Wake 2 and their continuation there of just like, I feel like retaking ownership of their brand and what they do and the quality bar that they hit. And Control's a lot of fun to play. But boy, Mass Effect 2, I've played that 4 times through.
Damn.
At this point, since 2010. I mean, twice when it came out, because I just started playing it again.
Yeah.
And then I played it all the way through sometime in the past 14 year, earlier pre-pandemic, where I modded everything on the PC, so it was using like 4K textures and just made it look as beautiful as I possibly could make it, and it was a lot of fun. And then I played through it in the Legendary Edition when that came out. So yeah, I've played and beat Mass Effect 2 4 times. And I'm sure I will continue to play it at different points in my life. I'll just want to play Mass Effect 2 again.
I think the way that, for me, Mass Effect 2 is what I was looking for after Witcher 3, where I played Witcher 3 and just felt such a hole in my soul that game was over. And Brad, and I think you two, both of you, were like, you should try Mass Effect. And I played Mass Effect on the Xbox, and it was fine. And then I went into Mass Effect 2, and it just blew me away. The story, like the way it starts, with her dying and then not. And then all the character moments throughout, all the whole cast, man, I think is rivaled only now. And maybe it's recency bias, maybe it's not, but like Final Fantasy VII crew is probably my favorite. But this one's so good.
It's so good.
So good. And that's just the story, right? And then the mechanics are so much better than the regular or Mass Effect, the original, I mean.
Yep.
There's so many, and I don't think I still haven't played Shadow Broker, which I think was
Shadowbroker's so good.
Yeah, so I still have a treat waiting for me, to be honest. This is Mass Effect 2 by a mile. Like I keep thinking about, I've been thinking about lately with finishing Final Fantasy VII Remake and just falling in love with that cast and thinking about that feeling. It was Witcher 3, it was Mass Effect 2, and it's Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like no other games have made me feel the way those three have made me feel.
Nice.
So it's really a nice touchdown, those three. Okay, those are the easy conversations. Now we have our next level of our bracket set. We have our Elite 8, if you will. We have Galaxy versus Portal 2. We'll have Hades versus Last of Us. We have Witcher 3 versus Fallout 3. And we have Breath of the Wild versus Mass Effect 2. Ugh, okay. Going back to the Northwest, Galaxy versus Portal 2.
My gut immediately just goes Galaxy still.
Yeah.
I don't have a strong reason why. I'm just like, oh, put those two games in. I'm like, I think I love Portal 2, but I've had more fun in Galaxy.
Yeah, I think the same thing. And I don't know why. I was initially going to say it's because like some of the puzzles and at least the multiplayer part of Portal 2 were like, wow, really had to stop and think. But like Galaxy has puzzles as well. They're just, I guess, more Nintendo-ish puzzles where they easy to then growing harder and harder until they're masochistic by the end.
Yep.
I just always gravitate towards Mario. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think about Mario. I'm like, Portal 2 is very good. But I just have fonder memories with Galaxy in the end. I feel like some of this is going to come down to that.
Well, it's the nice thing about art, right? Like if we did a brackets about fucking famous paintings, it's like, you know, at a certain point, art just speaks to you, and it's like I could try to say words about it, but really it just speaks to my soul. And Galaxy does something. Yeah. I agree. All right, Galaxy is moving on. Down in the Southwest, we've got Hades versus The Last of Us. This is easy for me, but I wonder what you think.
Very easy for me.
Last time we said this, you said Last of Us, but I think you mean Hades this time.
I do mean Hades. It's easy for me. Overwatch 1 was just easy for me because I just didn't play much Overwatch. It's not a game that ever spoke to me whatsoever. Yeah. And I actually got frustrated that everything became hero shooters.
Right. Yeah, and that's although I don't know if that's the reason. I guess I would go back to Team Fortress 2, maybe.
They're not hero. That's not a hero shooter.
Really? That's a class-based?
That's a class-based shooter.
Yeah.
Hero shooter is very specific, the mechanics of Overwatch. Actual, like, really... I mean, they're heroes. They're built up as heroes. They have all their different abilities. Team Fortress maybe is the original foundation for that, but
I feel like
that's
just prototype.
more...
I just don't...
That's kind of class-based more than anything. If anything, Valve tried to make personalities to the classes, but...
I mean, in Team Fortress 2, they certainly did.
Yeah, that was part of the
personality.
Yeah, but whenever you deem the term hero shooter, Overwatch is typically brought up as the prototypical.
No, I agree with you. I just feel like there's a pretty straight line between Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch in terms of like evolution. I guess Team Fortress 2 is still getting updates. They just got an update a couple months ago, I think. So
I mean, people do say like that. Yeah, those are.
But it's not a hero shooter.
TF2 was kind of the origins where it kind of started, and then there was some smaller ones like, Battleborn and Overwatch were considered the main ones, like that broke through and were like, these define what this genre is. And in a lot of ways, kind of pulls from MOBAs in that way. Like Overwatch pulls like that distinct hero aspect from MOBAs, where like League heroes were full characters, backstories, like deep.
Yeah, they were named as opposed to like sniper, heavy,
they went deep there. So that's why. But Hades is incredible as a game. I
mean, Hades is a game that's not unrivaled, but like that is a touchstone for this type of game moving forward.
Yeah,
in my view. So in the West, we're gonna have Galaxy versus Hades.
Ugh.
I don't want. Can we stop?
Yeah, I want both.
Excuse me. All right, moving to the Northeast, we're taking Witcher 3 versus Fallout 3. This is not even a question for me. It's Witcher 3.
It's just again similar. I mean, open world exploration. One's fantasy, one's sci-fi, but I think Witcher 3. I mean, in some ways, Witcher 3 I think doesn't exist without Fallout 3 and those predominant open worlds that existed beforehand.
It's certainly in the lineage.
Because I feel like CD Projekt took a lot of learnings from the Bethesda open world stylings and like things that they liked and didn't like, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because you move from Fallout 3 to Skyrim to Witcher 3 really pretty easily.
Yeah. I get it that Bethesda always does first person, but how the worlds are built is what I look at, and the mechanics in there and leanings. So, but I would still put Witcher 3 as just a better version of all of it, and it has the story and the characters far more than Fallout 3 does.
It's interesting, too, because both of those games, I think the main criticism that I've seen in media and players in general is just the combat in both. Mm-hmm. The Witcher 3 combat being meh, and then the VAT system, the shooting mainly in Fallout 3 being serviceable. That's about it. Witcher 3 by a mile for sure. All right, this is the last one here. The Southeast is actually the hardest one of these four for me. Breath of the Wild versus Mass Effect 2, because they're both in the top 5 games I've ever played. Yep. And they are both, same thing with Uncharted 2 and Hades earlier, where they're both like just Pantheon games in very different spheres. But Breath of the Wild is still my favorite game ever. And I would probably still lean that way. But Mass Effect 2 does something to me.
I think if I'm balancing it with you having it as the best game ever, I don't know if Breath of the Wild higher than Mass Effect 2 for me.
That's why this one's so hard.
I don't know. And we don't have the time for me to figure it out. I'm going to be honest. But I am okay with Breath of the Wild Mass Effect 2. Because I can't argue that it I can't think in my head right now any strong argument why. But I also, in my head, Mass Effect 2 there, and I'd still be very happy. So
I could as well. For me, Mass Effect 2 is in the top 5 games I've ever played, with Breath of the Wild being number 1.
yeah,
And maybe those two are closer to in
they
your
are closer in my opinion to me.
Yep.
They're like a position apart.
Right.
I just because I don't know where they rank in top 5 exactly anymore right now. That the top 5 fluctuates.
It would be interesting to redo that again.
We should do that at some point.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But yeah, Breath of the Wild can move on. I am okay with that.
All right, we will move Breath of the Wild forward, and we are set in our West bracket. We've got Super Mario Galaxy from 2007 versus Hades from 2020. And then in the East, we have Witcher 3 from 2015 versus Breath of the Wild from 2017. Okay, Galaxy versus Hades.
This is a yikes.
I find myself leaning towards Hades this time because of the narrative, which is something, Mario games don't really do that. They both have superb gameplay, replayable, something that is like a bright spot, something that I want to return to. Like Elden Ring, again, great game. It's not one I want to return to. These two games I want to return to. Mario Galaxy iterates on the 3D platformer. Hades iterates on roguelites, but the narrative is like the extra sweet sauce of Hades that I'm drawn to. It has gameplay plus narrative, which is Mario has gameplay. So I am leaning towards Hades, but I'm curious what you think.
I would lean towards Hades right now, and I only worry if that's recency bias.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I don't know right now, but for what the reasons you said, I really enjoyed Hades. A lot from the story and the way it's presented and the gameplay. I finished. I didn't do every possible thing in that game. Like, the one thing I didn't get done was Heat 32.
Interesting.
There's one final. I couldn't. I never succeeded on Heat 32.
Yeah.
Which would have given me my last thing I could have built in the House of Hades, and then I would have had everything. But I finished all the story. I finished the post-ending story. Well, close to 200 hours in Hades. How many runs that works out to? In the end. Still getting new dialogue.
That's what blows me away, man. Is that
it's just like there's always new things for me to find and explore and do, and of boons. So I give it to Hades from just the sheer amount of content you can just keep going back to. There is a finite amount of Super Mario Galaxy. Hard, masochistic to finish it all, but you can, and you're done. There literally is nothing more for you to do there other than just restart and play again.
Because there's not new ways to play, like there is with Hades. So you can do the same thing, same heat, but different item, different boons.
Yep. It's going to be different because you're going to get presented with different things every run. That's just the nature of that type of game.
Yeah.
So I would give it to Hades.
All right. I think that's where I'm leaning to. Let's go Hades in the final. And the other side of the final four, we've got Witcher 3 versus Breath of the Wild. Again, 2 games in my top 5.
I know. I think this one hurts you more than it hurts me.
It does, although I know...
I'm going Breath of the Wild.
Tell me why.
So here's the thing. Playing Breath of the Wild, I never got bored. I got bored in Witcher 3 a couple times.
Yeah,
there was a point in Witcher 3 towards the end where I'm just like, I'm not doing anything else. I'm just game. Mm-hmm. I never got that way until that. Mostly when I decided to beat it, was like, I think I'm ready to beat this game. I've done everything right at the moment that I want to do. I haven't done all the shrines yet, but I got my Master Sword. I got the Havian Shield. I've got bunch of stamina, a bunch of hearts. It's like I've done all the divine beasts. I've opened all the towers. I've explored all the mazes. Like, I've done all this stuff. I never was bored doing it. And now I have chosen that it's time for me to beat this game. Witcher 3, probably the last quarter of it was please just let me beat this game. I just want to be done. I'm tired of exploring the world. I don't want to explore more. I just want to beat this game. Okay, just power through the story then, because... And actually, maybe that is a thing why I lean to it. Breath of the Wild gives me the choice when I want to beat it.
Yeah, yeah, you can beat it super early.
If you're bored and just want to be done, you can be done.
Yep.
And it's not gonna hold you back from finishing it. So yeah, that's why I lean to it. Just talk myself into it completely. So
yeah, I feel like Breath of the Wild lets it be your game however you want it to be.
Yeah.
And it's just the first of those games where you're headed toward, I don't know, Dueling Peaks or wherever you're going, and 12 other things happen along the way that just pull your attention, and you're like, what? Where was I going? 5 hours later? Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Witcher 3 is the first game that I played where, and this is only because I came to these type of video games late, where choice mattered, and I could make my own story, whereas the end, it had a couple endings.
Yeah.
Not too many, but I didn't ever have that experience before, and that's when I realized how beautifully done narrative games could be. That follows through all the way into the expansions. And the thing that's interesting is that the expansions, I did what you said. I didn't explore a lot of Tussaud or the other area in the other one. I just did the main quest for the most part because I wanted to finish the story more because I was interested in it. But there was a lot of side stuff I missed in the expansions that I really dug into during the original base game. It's, again, it's such a touchstone for me, Witcher 3, but it's Breath of the Wild by a mile. Even though I love Witcher that much, Breath of the Wild is that much. It's still new to me. It's still, like I said, watching my daughter play, but even just playing myself, there's just so much that I've forgotten, so much that I didn't do the first time. Eventide Isle the first time, I don't know if there's a more salient gaming memory than sitting in my daughter's nursery that we were building. She wasn't born yet. Night after night after night, going after Eventide Isle until I fucking beat it.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, amazing. And how they've changed that in Tears of the Kingdom to be like that happens in shrines instead. I never even went to Eventide Isle in Tears of the Kingdom because I couldn't, because of how beautiful that memory was for me from Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild. It's Breath of the Wild, man. And this is a final here of Hades from 2020 versus Breath of the Wild from 2017.
I hate my life. I refuse to choose.
I don't want to pick. I don't want to pick between these two. These two games are, I don't know if anything's perfect, but boy, these are as close as you can get, I think.
Kind of.
How about we don't pick? How about we just leave? Oh, God.
Yep. I don't know. I don't know where this lands.
What if you might say no to this. What if we thought about it for a week and came back next week and finished the final?
All right.
So
that's it, though. Hades and Breath of the Wild.
Hades and Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I would like to think on that for a week.
Yeah, I need to sit on that one. I wouldn't mind having time to ponder those games.
Boy, it makes me want to replay both those.
I've wanted to go back. I booted up Hades last week because I needed to get a reference image out of it. Because I was talking about something, and I'm like, I need to... Not everyone had played Hades, and I was referencing something from it. And I was like, hey... So I had to boot it back up, and the initial, just when the logo came on, and the sound, I was like, oh shit. Am I going to get out of this without playing it?
It's a Steam Deck intro video for me, and every time it comes on, I'm like, oh, I should fucking play it.
Yep. I have it, and I have Persona 5 Royal.
Oh yeah, I have that one too.
As my, and I have the startup random, so I don't know which one I'm gonna get. But they're both cool.
So cool.
So yeah, we'll wait a week. Let's think on that one, because
let's think
those
about it
are
for a
really
week.
good games.
Yeah, it's worthy of us waiting and thinking on it. That was fun. That started off like, oh, this is pretty easy, to no, this is absolutely fucking painful.
Yeah.
And thank God we have such beautiful games in our lives. That's just amazing. Speaking of beautiful games in our lives, what have you been playing?
Fantasy 12.
Oh my God, we're turning into the RPG Backlog podcast, which we are working on with this game.
Because you and Travis were playing it, and I was talking about it, and so guess what? I just start playing it, and I'm like probably 3 times farther than both of you at this point.
Just because you know where to go.
What to do. And yeah, I'm like level 34 at that point.
Holy shit! I just got 13.
I know how to cruise this. Like, there's certain places I'm like, okay, cruise the story until this point. All right, now go start doing all the side quest stuff. I have like 18 hunts I can do. It is a comfort food game for me. I just play this game, have a bunch of fun, try different character builds.
There is some variety in that, which is pretty cool, because I'm playing Time Battle Mage for Vaughn, which is wildly different than what you or Travis are doing.
Yeah. I have the full party of 6 now.
Yeah.
And I have both jobs now. Each character has 2.
Right.
Which starts all sorts of wildly different builds going down there through that, and you get different accessories and weapons that can kind of change how you want to build a character. It's nuanced. As you go, you'll get deeper and deeper into it, and I want to say it's not going to, from YouTube for the Backlog podcast, you're not going to be this next week, though, I think is where it's completely huge. And it's just like, oh, okay, I can do a lot. Yeah, you're getting there. It's weird. The first, like, chunk of the game isn't a tutorial necessarily, but you are contained a little bit more.
It does feel a little bit like a expanded tutorial, just because I guess where I'm at now, I feel like it's really starting to open up, and I'm starting to see more of the game. It's really interesting. I can see why it's a comfort food game, because it feels, and maybe this is wrong, but it feels, what's the right word here? Because when I say linear, it feels like a dirty word, but it's really nicely linear, where it is, you're moving forward towards these story beats. You can, veer off and do the paths and grind and things like that. But the story is important, and you're moving along with that story because it's important that you do. I don't know if it branches off eventually or not.
I sort of branch, but you get a lot of freedom. Like, you always have, like, where you're trying to go is here. How you get to there, that's up to you. You get a lot of room to want to go about that. But like most Final Fantasies, it's still a linear story that you're moving through.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the gambits and thinking through. Like today, I set Fran to heal at like 50% with cure. And I was like, no, I actually would rather have her cure at 60%, because I'm in a fight where it's not. I could use heals earlier, but I don't have that gambit. I was like, oh shit, I need to go buy that. And I started realizing some things I don't have that I want, and I'm like, oh, I'm starting to get into the gambit system. Interesting. Yep. And then, fuck, man, we'll talk about on the other podcast, but just the fucking bounty hunters, where I like Balthier says, kill who you can kill, but get out of here. Like, we don't need to kill everybody. And
just
I run, fucking murder everybody. I forgot about the flee button. The R2, the right trigger. Yeah. So I got them between a transition point where I had a couple of seconds to heal before they followed me in, and kind of fucked with that. I used everything, every fucking potion, every arrow mote, every dark mote, every fucking thing I had. I had to keep reviving party members, and I was like, Jesus Christ, these guys must have tens of thousands of hit points. Turns out that's probably true.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to fight them. God damn it.
I mean, you can, as you've proved to yourself, you can do it.
Killed them all.
But yeah, the Lars is running. Not Lars, Lamont is
Lamont,
running.
Yeah. Cool
And
story reveal there, by the way. So
there's neat little story stuff going on there. And you haven't even. That's the thing. I don't think it's this week. You'll get some this week, and there's some payoff. It's, I think, the next week of playing is where things really hit, and it gets pretty interesting. Overall, cool. Story-wise, it is a political game though, so lots of politics, lots of intrigue, lots of proper nouns.
Yes, definitely. But it's been pretty good and easy to follow so far. I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad
Balthier is the leading man.
He is.
To say, he's so good. I love.
Yeah.
You should see why I love getting Emery and why I was so happy that he was. I was like, I love this voice and I love this guy.
The voices sound so different to me though.
I can just tell they are different, but I can pick out his voice. It's kind of like how I can do Mercer. Or Mercer.
Oh, or Mercer, yeah. That's
where I'm like, he's doing different voices, but I'm like, oh, that's Mercer.
Right.
That's Giddy Emery is the same way. Like there's just a certain inflections and like tone to his voice that I'm like, oh yeah, that's him. Because I knew, like, as soon as I heard Biggs in FF7 Remake, I was like, that's that guy. I know who it is. I didn't know he was in this, but I don't know anyone else that would have that has that sound. And yeah, man, I hope Cypher has to continue through that. Yeah, it just gets bigger.
That's nice because I'm really liking the world. Yeah, I don't. This will be the third Final Fantasy that I've beaten. 15 was first, and then Remake, and now this. And I like it. I like the world certainly much, much more than 15's. And it's making me. I'm seeing parallels between this and Zelda in that it's a Japanese developer who has a lot of elements that from I don't know, iteration to iteration they remix the elements and they're telling like a new myth. But it's got, it's different, but it's got some similar stuff. The Master Sword's always there, or Chocobos are always there, or whatever. The Cid shows up all the time.
Crystals are always there.
Yeah.
Have they mentioned Cid yet?
Not that I recall. I may have missed it, but I think I would have not missed it, so I don't think so.
He'll be... This name Cid will come up before you meet Cid.
Okay. I haven't heard the name yet.
Okay. But there is a Cid, because there's always a Cid.
When I love it, I keep thinking about how like I'm so desperate in Zelda to like put the timeline together, whereas Final Fantasy, I'm like, there is no timeline. Like, why do I want that for Zelda when it's clearly like they're both?
Because they have never even stated that the Final Fantasy, they've been actually pretty adamant for the most part that these games are all off. They share elements,
right?
But they are not. There is no continuity in them at all, ever, and they've been very clear from the start. Except this game, unfortunately, where they slightly in one. I mean, you got the Final Fantasy VII Remake Ultimania, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there is an FF12 Ultimania that exists. Never got translated to English, but
it's only in Japanese?
It's only in Japanese.
Okay.
This is before the time they did a lot of that translation to bring these books over. So that exists, and in there, they make reference that 12 Ivalice is the same Ivalice as Final Fantasy Tactics, just separated by thousands of years.
Sure.
But I'm pretty sure Matsuno has been like, yeah, kind of, but not. I'm not really considering that so much.
Right, we're not putting any effort into
like
making that make sense.
Huge effort to make it make sense.
Yeah.
So I don't. I'm like, sure, it can be considered the same, but whatever. But yeah, I'm excited you guys are playing it, and it is a. I mean, we just went through lists of Game of the Year. It was Famitsu's Game of the Year, 2006.
Wow.
yeah, for whatever reason, Famitsu really liked it.
Well, I mean, there's something to it. I mean, you really like it. I'm kind of like when you read a friend's favorite book, playing a friend's one of their favorite games is really kind of insightful.
Oh yeah, it was Edge's Game of the Year 2006, Famitsu's, and the Japan Game Awards.
Oh, cool.
So I mean, it got praise for then. I do you were learning something about my tastes, of course, Brett, which I don't think it's overly revealing for my game tastes. Like,
no,
you know me long enough, you're like,
surprising.
of course Anna likes this. Like,
yes, exactly.
Why wouldn't you?
Yep. None of this is surprising so far.
Yes.
I'm surprised that maybe I'm not. Because I keep going back to Crimson Shroud, where I'm like, I really like this really weird ass game that I never would have liked before.
Sure.
So I don't know. I'm really enjoying my time with RPGs, and this is a good one. So.
So you've been playing that. I don't know what else you've been playing.
Just Breath of the Wild with my daughter, and then Helldivers with Travis
Nice.
or Kartik or whatever. That's all fun. Nothing.
I've heard that the automatons were destroyed.
There are AT-ATs now. I don't know if they've been destroyed since then, but there were like these huge fucking machines with saws and then little AT-ATs coming at us. But that was several days ago. I don't know.
There was a Helldivers too. Yeah, though this was like when was this? This was yesterday. I saw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were completely pushed off the map.
Oh shit.
So
this is
probably not gone. Mm-hmm. They'll probably be back at some point,
right.
But
this is how you do a live game, man.
Anymore.
There's a live narrative where like this game is different than it was at launch because of the way that people have played it. It's really interesting. And obviously the mechanics are good. It looks beautiful. It's fun as fuck with friends. It's still hilarious. I don't know, man. It's still compelling. I don't play it as much as I did, but I put 30 hours into that game since it's launched, and that's wild.
Here it is. This is from Kotaku Australia, and this article was from six hours ago. Over the weekend, Helldivers 2 players have successfully destroyed their first enemy combatant. For the first time since the game launched, the automaton menace has been wiped off the galactic map.
Jesus.
So people can't even do automaton missions right now.
It's all bug missions right now?
It's all bug. You can't do it. They're not there.
You can, so does that include the AT-ATs?
Yeah.
And Jesus.
They're just gone.
That was fun. I really like that evolution. Okay. Fuck. Interesting.
Those team point. Yes, the first time in Helldivers, even including one, and this one that has let players actually just wipe out an enemy faction off the map. So, and people are like, does this mean that the third faction's going to come in now?
I think so. There was another group from the one that I can't remember the name of it.
The Illuminate.
Okay, that's who's coming in then, I assume.
But no, there's no. Basically, it's just like everyone watch the map and see what happens over the next week. Such a good way to do a live service game. I can't believe how they're nailing this.
Yeah,
it's shocking how well they're nailing this. So there you go. Man, that's cool.
It's a smart way to do live service where the story changes too, not just like here's a battle pass. I'm looking forward to the new battle pass, by the way, which is like, wow, I'm excited about a battle pass. Like a fucking grenade pistol is a perfect addition to my flamethrower setup.
Oh, jeez.
Because I had to pick between the grenade launcher and the flamethrower. Now I don't have to. I can have a grenade pistol.
Give it to me. Now I have mass destruction of my teammates.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Yep. TKing all the time. Ugh. Good stuff. That's certainly, there's no way that's not on my game of the year list this year.
Oh, sure.
Got it. It's going to be there somewhere. Absolutely. Been a killer time. Yeah. Cool. Well, anything else for the podcast?
Oh, I think good.
Awesome. Okay. Next week, we will fucking finally confront our life choices and decide Hades or Breath of the Wild, or just, shut down the podcast and never continue.
Yeah.
We don't have to decide. If you like us, please rate us on your podcast service of choice. And again, please check your podcast feeds in the next, probably end of April is when I'm going to start the feed for the RPG backlog with Prof and Dev. God damn it, I keep doing that. The RPG backlog with Prof Plays Games and Friends. Doing Final Fantasy 12 first. And I've decided I'm going to intersperse the group ones with solo ones. I'm going to do Final Fantasy 12 with Travis. I'm going to do Undertale. And then I'm going to move on to Final Fantasy Adventure with Tom, which I found out today was Katase's first game he worked on for Square.
The Seikuten Densetsu?
Yeah.
Seikuten Densetsu? Like, yeah, we call it Final Fantasy in the West. It's not Final. It was
it's
not
a
even
mana
part
game.
of the Final Fantasy franchise in Japan.
Exactly. It's a mana game.
It is It's the first mana game.
That's right. So, looking forward to that. Oh, and hey, did you, before we get out of here, Fantasy Critic, I didn't check today to see if you had picked anything up. I was curious if you picked up the game that I picked up or tried to, but I assume it's a game you're probably not thinking about. Because it's a weird one.
Harold Halibut?
Harold Halibut, that's right.
No, I did not pick up Harold Halibut.
That launches on the 16th. Okay.
I have heard of it.
This is a dark horse. It could be good.
Yeah.
It could.
No, the last one I picked up was 9 Souls, which
okay, cool.
I'm pretty happy with that pickup.
That was a great pickup. I thought about it and decided I wanted to wait a couple more weeks, and then that was stupid of me. Well, that's okay. We have a couple games coming out pretty soon.
Yeah.
Pepper Grinder ended up with a 9 for me, and Peach was a 6 for you. Got it. Okay. All right. Anyway, thanks, everyone. We will be back next week, and yeah, we'll see you then.
All right. Later, everyone.